It's Blammo. I'm Jeremy Kirkland, and this is my podcast about people wearing clothes. Welcome. How you doing? It's a big day. It's not really a big day. I was looking back today, as one does, and I realized I've been doing this podcast for over 8 years now. 8. That's a lot of pods. That's a lot of me talking to myself. Heavens. Good Lord. It's wild, right? And to think, I still, the whole point of this was kind of learning about fashion and clothes. And I would say I've learned a lot, but, I still never really figured out what my own style is. I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't know. Who cares? I did get a new monitor. That's a fun thing. It's not a clothing purchase, but I got a new screen. So I'm editing this. I've been talking right now on this giant screen. It's great because, it's bigger. Who cares? Anyway, I have been spending a lot of time lately just swapping my wardrobe, to summer. Does anyone else do this? Like, I don't have a massive closet, but, I have some tailoring boxes and some other things, and I'll take my fall winter stuff, my knitwear, my flannels. There's not a ton, but there's enough that, it's a bit of a process. And I'm putting it all away, and I'm getting out the linen stuff, the cottons, some of the lighter wool tailoring things. And I'm going through all this, and I'm like, why did I wear my clothes so tight? Like, what's going on? And believe it or not, this is not even a weight thing. This isn't like, oh, you're bigger now. Like, I look back, and I realize, like, I just wore things, like, so slim. I mean, and some of these things, let me be honest, they're over a decade old. I think the oldest thing I have is maybe from like 2010. So I don't know. That's a while. It's 14 years. But like, I wore things so tight, and it's interesting because there is an art to wearing clothes. I believe, yes, it is important to have good taste, but it's more importantly, but it's more important to know what flatters your body, right? What frames you right. This is level 99 stuff. So don't feel bad if you don't get it, because I barely get it, but I'm trying. I'm just figuring it out, because I'm getting bigger things now, but I'm not getting too big. I'm trying to get stuff that that frames and flatters me. To be honest, I want to look. I want to look like Nicolas Gabard. Like, he's my guest this week. This is not a coincidence. But it's cool. He's got his own style. He knows what frames him, what flatters his physique. He knows what he's doing. And I would say Husbands is a brand that I have really, really long admired. I mean, they're so great. When they first came out, I'll say this. I'll follow my sword here. I saw it and I was like, I don't know. It's kind of 70s. You're like, yeah, it's kind of, you got bigger stuff here and there. But I'm like, no, it's not. There's so much more to it. And I love it. I love the brand. And so I'm very, very glad that Nicolas joined me on the pod this week. He's the founder of the Parisian brand and tailoring house Husbands. Get this, they were founded in 2012. And I feel like I just heard about it. That's how slow news travels in the fashion world. And it's great. But Husbands, I mean, for me, they're one of the brands that have been kind of behind this new wave of tailoring. Their suits are cut with like a very strong silhouette, generous lapels, wider trousers. I mean, it's very chic. And not in a bad way. It's just it's so good. It's so good. So Nicolas and I discussed the origins of Husbands, style versus fashion, how to give directions to clients. Hey, here's a big one. We really got into this. How to wear black clothing. Because I mean, I want to find ways to wear black clothing. Like, I've always like it's navy or bust. You don't wear black. But we got into it. We talk about that, his philosophy on fashion, how the brand continues to evolve. I mean, it's all in there. It was a ton of fun. So let's get going. Here we go.
In a way, what we are building, you in your field, me and mine, are going in the same direction. We want to rebuild the ecosystem, the kind of prescription ecosystem, because a lot of men are totally lost, because clothes, dressing, are becoming really complex matters for a lot of customers, even with the internet, because of the dispersion of the dress code and the rules. So it's one of the points I want to talk about with you, is that okay, dress code was sometimes a little bit boring, but it brings a big solution. And in a way, it can also bring a kind of democracy in this kind of environment. Now, you want to dress and you are totally lost. You cannot, mix. You don't know how to dress when you go to party, when you go to the office, when you want to date. It's really funny when you follow a direct guy on Twitter. It's full of, yeah, man, can I put this for my first date? So I can imagine how, it has to answer to all these men. But I think it's now part of our mission as a brand, but also as a journalist to bring some sense in what we are doing. And this is clothing, and also to bring some pedagogy and transmission. And you cannot just show images right now. Yeah, that's fashion. But if you are in the classic menswear, you need to be a teacher of your own customers, and that's part of your mission statement.
Right. Thank you for saying that, because I think I would say right now it is more difficult to not only get dressed, but to figure out your style. Because now we're in a situation into which everything is okay. Traditionally, if you wanted to get dressed, you really had a small selection and small amount of choices to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
And then also most of what you could choose was dictated by your profession.
Exactly.
You worked in an office, you wore a suit, and you want to get a suit, you can go to these 3 stores. You get a suit and you move on. And now everything is kind of okay. But because of that, no one really has the confidence to kind of figure out who they are or explore. And so it's very difficult right now. I really believe this.
Yeah, because, it was a collective language. So it was full of dress code, rules, no brown in town and no watch with a tuxedo. You cannot, it was, but in a way it was really helpful for the men. And when you was a lawyer, you were supposed to dress in blue. And when you were, a judge in gray. And so everything was defined and already written. And of course, in this cycle, and this small square, you could find some pleasure and some happiness dressing. But, the big picture was already written by this big obligation designed by the, all these dress codes. And now, this has totally disappeared. It won't never come back,
You don't think so?
It's a pity for us, classic menswear, that it won't never come back. So we need to understand why people will get back to the desire of dressing again. If they are lost, it will never happen. So we need to give them a kind of direction. And for us at Husbands, we strongly believe since the beginning, in a way, that people will come back to this pleasure and happiness of dressing by a kind of self-expression. So it has always been a language, but it was a collective language. Now it's a personal language. So you are exactly right. Customer has to, the customers have to understand, the men have to understand, that they want to say and how to say it. But the first step is what I want to say. What I want to say from myself, what I want to show, what I want to hide. And then you need to find the right partner, the right player in this industry to join you and help you to say it. And this is where we can, enter in the game. But for me now, if you want to launch a brand, if you want to bring some solution to your customers. And for me, a brand is someone who can bring a solution. You need to address these new demands, these new needs, knowing what you want to say and knowing how to say it.
Well, what about your journey? Because I think you have a viewpoint of menswear that is extremely it's extremely defined, and I for one, I love it. But I think the husband's display of menswear is stunning. It's beautiful, but it's very focused. And so I am curious as to what led you to create that vision for husbands.
Yeah. Thank you for your kind words, Jeremy. And we at Husbands, we know that we have a lot of things to do. We are still a potential, that we need to prove ourselves, new things, and we need to be really humble. What we have maybe is a point of view, and maybe we will have to talk about what is this point of view. And when you say you are really defined, I think, we have a point of view. And for us, when you work in classic men's, where you have to deal with a lot of dead garments.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't have a utility. Since they disappeared with the dress codes, suddenly they are here with no utility. And for us, our point of view is always to give back life to garments like a Loden, like a peacoat, like a flared jeans. Say, okay, for me, it could be relevant again, but we need to find a point of view. What's the DNA of this piece? What's the meaning of it? It was supposed to fulfill which needs? And then we start to explore this, all this, and start to understand what we want to do for our customers and following our own vision. When you say you are really defined, it's in a way I can understand, and it's always surprised me because for me we are a really classic brand. Because this is classic menswear. It's a deep V neck sweater. It's a really deep V. It's always a tweed jacket.
Yes.
It's always a double-breasted flannel suit. So of course we will change the proportions. We want to play with it. We want to mix the different times. It's really rewarding to find a new silhouette mixing a trousers of the 30s with a jacket of the 80s. So sometimes it's like of, Frankenstein. But when you manage to do this, you create something new, relevant, modern, coming from the past and still classic.
Yeah.
And it's classic for me. That's part of a classic. But I have a lot of discussion with my customers also with, talented guys like you challenging us and say, are you really classic? You say, we only use, classic fabrics. And I love fabric. For me, everything comes from fabric. It's like a chef, in your restaurant, you need fantastic products. And then you have your vision.
Well, there we go. I think the vision is what I'm the most excited by because yes, many artists use the same materials to create art. And I would argue that Husbands is art. But how you display that art is in the proportions of your tailoring. Because I do agree that it's classic menswear, but the term classic, I'm air quoting that, is sometimes, depending on who hears it, it could be not exciting. It could be dull, not welcoming.
Yeah.
But I think Husbands, when I was saying defined, has a definition of classic menswear that's very alluring. And a lot of that, I think, is in the proportions and silhouettes that you create with these classic materials. I for one, think it's also very, and feel free to push back or disagree, but I think it's very Parisian. It's very French. And from a person who has always loved and admired French culture, and Paris is one of my favorite cities on earth, it makes me feel like if I'm wearing Husbands, I get to be French. I get to be Jacques Demy. I get to be in Umbrellas of Cherbourg. that I think is something only clothing can do.
Yeah, there are a lot of things about this definition of what we are doing, because it's really, we have a vision of a mission. We have a mission statement about helping men to dress and helping them to learn their own language, to being free. But it's always really complicating to have a clear vision of your style. I can say a lot of things about our style, about the length of the jacket, the padding we use, the generous lapel we love. But and in a way, it comes from Paris because of my team and are living in Paris, and we are full of this French culture and the Parisian architecture, and we have all these couturiers like Yves Saint Laurent, and so of course we are surrounded by all these influences. But the clear vision come from abroad. It's when Japanese buyers or American customers or journalists like you say, yeah, you are Parisian, and say, okay, cool, good news. We live in Paris, but that's good. I don't know, if it's Parisian, like Parisian taxi. I'm not sure I want to buy it, but yeah, I'm always surprised by how the really well understanding of what we are doing with the team is clear when it comes from abroad. It's, yeah, you are Parisian for this and this. And I say, yes, they are right. We didn't notice this. We were focused on our mission statement. But yeah, definitely we try to bring something about the silhouette, which for us have to be really graphic. We want to elongate. So I think there is kind of couture, maybe, when Martin Margiela, in his documentary about himself, which I think called Margiela by Martin, he explained that he's obsessed by shoulders and shoes. And in between, he fulfills. And I think it's, this kind of Paris. And for me, of course, he is from Belgium, but he brings something really Parisian and really couture. And maybe since we are surrounded by all these people from fashion and stimulated by them and challenging by them, maybe we bring this kind of vibes in our classic. So maybe, yeah, we are obsessed by kind of chic, but this word means nothing right now because everything is chic.
Yeah, it's true.
But in French, it has a really precise meaning when you are chic. And it has to be a little bit, you don't have to show that you search too much. It has to be so natural that, it becomes chic. Because when you start to work too hard to emerge from the masses with your outfit, it's not chic. It's something else. Maybe it could be dapper. It could be elegant. It could be stunning. But it's not chic. And maybe we are trying to turn around this concept of chic, and you could call this Parisian, maybe, with the culture, with the couture, with, this obsession of the graphic line, the fine line, everything is in the details. And I really like when, British customers told me one day that, we were the noticeable. I already did this in an interview, but he said, yeah, I really love my British tailor, but it's always about being unnoticeable. And he told me in Paris, when I come in the store and I order a suit with you, it's the unnoticeable is noticeable, or the noticeable is unnoticeable. And this paradox is maybe a really good definition of what we are. And we are, between, UK and, Italy. we stand for this kind of silhouettes.
Right. But I think so many of the people who have come to know and love husbands, they also have come to know and love you as an individual. And I think you're, I am curious.
My wife.
Well, I'm curious about how you created your own style. And I apologize if that question sounds a little silly, but I do think that you have a very, great understanding of yourself, and it's very attractive to other people.
Thank you so much, because something I feel totally lost. So few things on what you are saying. Right now, maybe it's it comes in opposition on what we were saying at the beginning of our conversation, saying that, people are lost, despite all the information. They don't know how to dress. But I think that, somehow, people, if they can find some information, they will manage to dress perfectly with no mistake. And I made so many mistakes. I tried so many things because I love fashion. And, I'm fortunate enough, because there wasn't at this time Instagram, believe me. I tried some outfits, which right now, I don't want to think about it.
Oh, no, come on.
No, but, I like Eddie. I like, Helmut Lang, Martha Margiela, Jim Sander, and of course, Heidi at Dior. And, it was all about plastic jeans, vinyl jeans with tailoring, and when I say this to my teams, they laugh a lot. But we were really excited at this time, and fashion was really excited because it was full of point of views. And you can follow Margiela or Comme des Garçons, or even Ralph Lauren. And you create and mix, and you try to find your own voice, and you try to become, in a way, your own designer, mixing all these influences. But at the end of the day, you had to make a lot of mistakes.
Wait, hold on a second. Okay, before you send that DM or text that friend, I know what you're thinking. You're ready to buy your first serious watch, or in other cases, maybe your fourth or your fifth. But look, man, it's hard out there. It really is. From this dealer or that store that wants the purchase history or whatever. You're just, I don't know, you're almost ready to walk away from the whole game. But fear not, my friends. Check out Bezel. Bezel is the trusted marketplace for buying and selling your next luxury watch, with expert in-house authentication on every purchase. With over 18,000 watches listed right now, as of the time I'm recording this, from a mix of professional dealers to private sellers, you're just going to find what you're looking for. But wait, I know. You're like, Jeremy, I'm sorry. They don't have that X Rolex or that insane Omega. Well, reach out to them. Bezel has a real team of real people. Just create an account and be connected with a private client advisor, and they will guide you through the entire process every step. Once you decide on your watch, it's overnighted to Bezel HQ, where their in-house team of experts authenticate it, and then it's on your way to you. If anything is amiss, the watch is not listed correctly, whatever it is, they'll let you know, the buyer know, and the offer to refund you or source you a new one at a similar price. That's pretty good, right? This has been part of the Bezel ethos since launch. I've even spoke to the founders about it. And now you can make an offer on a watch, buy it outright, or bid it at auction. Bezel is the highest rated watch marketplace out there. Even Trustpilot shows Bezel is 4.9 out of 5 stars with rave reviews. Okay, you're still on the fence? Dig into the Blamo feed yourself and listen to my chat with the Bezel co-founders and, well, see for yourself. But you got this. I believe in you. Visit getbezel.com and buy and sell your next luxury watch. That's getbezel.com. Getbezel.com.
Styles. And when I see my young team, sometimes I'm totally surprised because everything is perfect.
Really?
In a way that it's clean. It's that's the nice black with the right pair of shoes. Everything is balanced, and I'm really impressed because sometimes I say, okay, yeah, that's part of the collection. We need to do this. So they try a lot, but in a really defined way. I am 54 now. So I come from the, 90s and 2000s.
Right.
And style was really important. It's like Glenn O'Brien, he told in an interview that in the 60s, everybody had great style and nobody wore fashion. And he say it's really important to be out of fashion because fashion make you feel like everybody and make you, look like everybody. And,
right.
And so in a way, I think young people, many young men, find their way to dress really quickly. And maybe they don't feel the complexity, which could only arrive when you made your own mistake. And all the mistakes help you to understand who you are and what is, dressing you well. So that's the first point.
Right.
Then I think what people start to see in me is my age.
Your edge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me precise.
Oh, I'm excited.
When you are young, I think you can try a lot of things because you have a young body, you have a young face, you are never ridiculous, You can try to, the pink hair or you have a yellow hair. You can shave yourself. You can have skinny jeans. You can, for me, it's always interesting. But imagine the same guy at 50 with skinny jeans. I know that there are a lot of men still wearing skinny jeans. I will make a lot of enemies with them. But you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean that when you age, you start to understand where is your perimeter, where area, and of course it's becoming closer, it's becoming smaller, but you can be radical in this square, in this area. When you are young, you cannot allow yourself a lot of things. You can try a lot of different things, but it's difficult to be really radical. And when you age, you can be radical in your style. You can try really things. You can push the grammar really far. You can push all the member of the equation. You can say the same thing. And you start to become maybe inspireful for the other because in a way you become a kind of stereotype. And I noticed this from myself, at the beginning, I was full of admiration with the artist because artist was mastering the language of their creation. And of course, the language of their outfit because they understood really well that, their identity, their outfit, and their creation was part of the same package.
Who did you think of when you started explaining that to me? Was there a specific artist that entered your mind?
Yeah. I was full of Serge Gainsbourg.
Oh, okay.
Because, Serge Gainsbourg, but the Serge Gainsbourg of the 60s, not the one of Jane Birkin, because it became a kind of caricature, the stonewashed denim, the Repetto, the white shoes, Repetto, But in the 60s, he played a lot with class. And it's why I love this so much. He didn't try to invent clothing. He tried to invent a silhouette with a classic which already existed. So he used a double-breasted, but, in a really sharp way. He asked his tailor to make this really small because he didn't want to give a feeling it was bespoke. He wanted to give a feeling it was ready to wear, which is, really shit. You don't want to show that you have money. You want to show that. So it was so subtle. So Serge Gainsbourg was a strong inspiration about this, but like, the early Rolling Stones, because at this time, the young people didn't have specific clothes for them. They used the clothes of their dads and parents, and they mix match them. They change the proportion. They change the way they wore them. And it was full of creation. So it was how we can design a personality in something which already has been written. So for me, it's really interesting. It's classic menswear, but pushing the limits of a menswear. So Gainsbourg, the Stones, but then Michel Léris, it's a niche novelist in French, but which was obsessed by his outfit, and he saw it as a protection. So it's really complex how you can, protect yourself behind the perfection. And but perfection is not chic. So you have to play with this paradox. But it was Pasolini, and it was the movie of Pasolini when you have Terence Stamp in Teorema. It's incredible. It was Robert Redford. I think Robert Redford, in the 70s.
3 Days of the Condor?
In the movie, but also, that's, for me, that's a masterpiece and it's in my museum. But, it was also really interesting, in his real life, and it's all these actors who love clothes. And you can see this. But all this generation used to love clothing, and love dressing. But it was William Burroughs, it was David Hockney, it was, Sam Tremblay, David Demings was also, in Blow Up, Brian Ferry, Jarvis Cocker, then, all the style of Peter Saville, who were the designer behind Factory Records, and then Yamamoto and Jill Sanders. So I was really behind this guy. Etching, you start to go far from these influences and start to find influences in a way in real life. Sometimes you stumble upon an old man in Paris or in London or in Italy, in Rome and Milan, and you are totally fascinated by the way dress. So it's always, and usually it's always old men.
Yes,
I could be really impressed by young men because they are, beautiful and they dress like, rock and roll star. But it's all, I like, this kind of, way of being polite of old men and old women.
There's a humility of people at that age into which you're not proving anything anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You are not looking for the look of the others. You don't want to be watched. You just want to be there. And for me, that's the difference of being a real influence. And finally, you are not full of you. You are full of bringing something in your life, but not about your clothes. And being young and try to be the more elegant, the dapper. It's this part, the artist, then making mistake, then understanding who I want it to be, my body, because I have my body which is tall and thin, and I cannot wear, for example, a flak jacket.
No?
I'm sure of this. People say, you look good in flak jacket. I say, no, it's not for me. And I love it. And I would like to have it in a husband's collection, but a leather flying jacket, a Booker one or something like this, it's not for me.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but you can feel it. You can feel it. And you have to play also, with your own masculinity. When you are square with muscles, you already say something, and you can play with this. You can bring sophistication, or you can bring some strongness, But when you are tall and thin, you have to play with your body. And, a customer told me, with you, everything is dandy. And I said, yeah, I don't want to be a dandy.
No.
But you know what, and he was, really, kind. Yeah. But for him, I was, tall, thin, and, I was so dandy. So you have to play with it. You have to say, okay, if I put this, yellow shirts with this brown trousers, I really love this, but people will start to think of me like this. So it's really a complex language.
Yeah.
And I like also the idea to don't have a lot of clothes because it's easy. We are working in fashion. We are working in tailoring. And I like the idea of, in a way, being the same situation of my customers and my young customers and to try to have few things, but I love them and I wear them, almost each week. So everybody is asking me, what is the state of your wardrobe? And I say, that's quite minimalistic. And I like the idea of waiting for something and say, okay, I really want this black gray sharks or this small dog. And I then wait if this obsession stay in my mind for a few weeks and months. And if it's still there after 3 months, I order it for me.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's important and you will wear it. I bought too many clothes and I order in husbands at the beginning too many things to not understand that if you have things, deciding like this, in few minutes, maybe you have a perfect intuition and that's brilliant and it happens sometimes. But usually it's, that's beautiful. I see it on him. I see it on the picture. I see it on this movie. And it happens to me all the time. I watch a movie and say, we need this. We need this. And then I said to my team, okay, we need this, stop everything. Stop the internet. We need this immediately. And, they start to know me now and say, okay, we will wait for. And they're right, because sometimes, and especially when you are obsessed by clothes, and that's my case, you love everything.
Yeah.
But now I need to love them for husbands, and husbands cannot do everything. We have a mission statement. We are a classic menswear brand. And then inside husbands, what I can wear, what I want to say about me. I am 54 years old. I have a body. I have a position. So what I want to say, and I'm not a free guy.
Right. Yeah. I think that's very, important to communicate. And it's something that I have often tried to tell people over the years, because when I worked in menswear, at the Armory very early on, we had opened up the Armory in New York, and previously I had a few different entry points into menswear, but usually from, I would get a bit of extra money and I would go to Dior and I would just, buy whatever was in front of me, but I really had no taste. And I often try to communicate that in it, because it's not like I was rich at all, but I would spend whatever it took to get it. And then I would come home and it wouldn't fit with anything else I own. And then I go work at the Armory, and we got the opportunity to build a wardrobe. And so I'm getting to purchase things with my employee rate. And I had a wardrobe, allowance. Yeah. And 90% of what I purchased was completely wrong. And I don't own anymore because I was drunk with choices. Yeah. And so many things I would be like, oh, that's a great idea. I would get it. And it would just be awful. And I'm not, I want to say, be very clear. It had nothing to do with the Armory. It had everything to do with my ability to select for myself. And I think your concept of, the 3-month waiting period, one of my good friends, he uses the phrase marinate, like a meat or a food. Yeah. He's like, it's got to marinate in my brain before I can pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important to communicate. And now I'm trying to figure out my wardrobe, and I will be very transparent. I don't know how to do it. I've realized that 99% of what I wear now is very much suburban father.
Yeah.
Blue sport coats, chinos, that's kind of it.
But it's all about finding your own uniform.
Yeah.
That uniform can be rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, all the really talented designer, and I really love fashion, it's always people in a way who are working in the same area, what we could, call their uniform. And then collection after collection, you can choose something which will, perfectly match with the earlier collection. And you are your own designer. For me, that's the future of it. People are, you need to learn, you need to transmit your customers a way of understanding who they are, who they want to be, and then try to help them, to appear like, the man they want to become.
Yeah.
So, and in a way to find their own uniform. We call this signature, when you saw Jarvis Cocker, I love Jarvis Cocker.
Yeah.
He has a signature. It's different. It could be, a green Pierre Cardin jacket with a flare jeans and a pair of Timberland. So you can see the mix. But it works. Because
it does.
His uniform. If I try to do this, it's becoming ridiculous. But he has find his, grammar. He has find his language. He has find his signature, his uniform. And, for me, husbands is all about this, trying to help people finding their uniform in the classic menswear and making this classic super, desirable because of our point of view and maybe our taste.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I have taste. I'm not sure I have taste.
I think you do.
Collectively, we have taste. Yeah, but I don't want to be modest, but for me, a taste is, you can feel it and you can invent something which never exists. And for me, it's, I need to have images in my brain before. So, big part of my job is eating images. So I have thousands and thousands and thousands of images, movies in my brain. And sometimes when I see a new thing, I say, okay, I have the ideas of the past about this. So I can understand it. But I need this. So it's, in a way, it's a test, but it's a test with, all these images in mind. And sometimes I work with people who have, like we say, you have a perfect ear. You can see, the perfect note of music. And these people, they have a perfect eye. They see something with the mix of colors, something new, and they say, okay, that's beautiful. And when I see the picture, I say, oh, okay, maybe beautiful, maybe not. I'm not sure. And often I'm not sure. And so it's collectively with the team, we try and we manage to find a meaning of the new things we are seeing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we are tests, but this is this kind of references.
Well, I think I'll say this: your perspective on everything that you've been communicating with me about shows you have taste, because I think taste is focus and there's confidence in there. But I think what's also very important, especially now as I become an older adult, is there's a humbleness and humility. I think I am very unattracted to overly confident individuals.
Yeah.
But when when you interact with someone who is, I would say you're almost a philosopher and teacher in how you communicate. And when you interact with someone who makes it feel okay to make mistakes and is in a constant pursuit of learning, it's very exciting. And it makes me more open to the things I maybe was closed off to, earlier. So, yeah.
Yeah. Some customers come to the store and say, I know everything. I will ask, stupid things. And I say, yeah, but, at some times of your life, you are this guy.
Yeah.
So I said, no, nothing is stupid. We are here and since we are passionate, we can spend a lot of time repeating ourselves.
Sure.
But, I think we need to be really open. We are in the classic men's.
Yeah.
So that's not the market, believe me. The market is outside, it's niche. So let's try to open it. Let's try to bring it in some new areas. And we are in the same boat. So let's try to help people. They want to have, sneakers with their flannel suits. That's okay for me.
Really?
They want to have
Good.
They want to have a graphic tees with, a 3-piece suit. Yeah, that's okay for me. And it's our mission to make this beautiful. And sometimes I'm really happy to just make a blue suit, because just making a blue suit, but really connected with the customers, it could be so hard and difficult, because it could be a blue suit Prada, it could be a blue suit Helmut Lang, it could be a blue suit Tommy Hilfiger, Edward Sexton, Caracini, or Ralph Lauren. It's always blue suits. And the magic of the menswear, we have our signature, but we can create also something. And sometimes the customers say, I have a feeling it's my old Prada of the 90s. And say, yeah, that's cool. So just because we choose some patch pockets, or because we choose a low-key shoulders, it's really about this kind of personalization you can bring to your customers and try to understand who they are, what is their way of living, moving, their morphology, the way they work, the way they move, their habits, and then you create something specific for them. My customers, some of them maybe, have Bentley, but now customers, they are dads, they are using a subway, they are riding, they are real life. Sometimes they are going at parties or night clubbing. But that's real life. That's not just a nice picture of a wonderful suits or spectacular suits. Of course, I like to make a white jacket with a black flare trousers and with big L's boots. I like it, but I like also to make a blue suit in this kind of minimalism. It's really challenging for us.
Yeah.
And again, we need to be really open. We are here to help customers. We are here to help people. And our language is the classic. So if we can open the classic and bring all the beauty of a classic, all these influences from the 20s, 30s, 70s, 50s, no vent, one vent, shoulders. And you need, of course, to bring your own personality for your customers in all these influences. But for me, brand and husbands are in mission to bring this beauty to new people. And I'm really happy when I touch and move people who are coming from fashion and who only used to go to big name and big logo brand stores. Right. And suddenly they understand and they say to one of my sales guys, "Oh, you are the first. Explain me why the jacket has to be a little bit longer, because I'm taller, or because I have, low shoulders, or we can correct this. And why? Because I have this kind of stray legs. I can have something really fitted. And, my brothers are different legs, and it's better if it's larger." And for me, it's really rewarding to bring this kind of confidence to young or old customers and seeing them, looking at them, feeling beautiful and desirable.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the magic of tailoring and classic. It's that you start to desire yourself. You don't desire clothes. When you go to designer brand or designer store or luxury brands, it's always that you want to buy something, that you are, you think you need it. It's like your experience with when you were working in fashion and and you go to Heidi at Durham and you buy everything. And what we can bring us, classic brands, tailors, it's that people start to desire themselves in a way. They feel that they are desired and they desire this feeling. And they look at you and suddenly they see that you look at them and they look beautiful and you can feel it.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the most beautiful job we can do. Sometimes I say to my team, we are making the most beautiful job in the world, making people happy, feeling them beautiful. That's a wonderful job. It's really difficult. It's often, hard because production is hard.
Yeah.
Because, buying fabric is hard, designing fabric is hard. Everything is hard. People think it's really easy. Sometimes we receive some critics. And I think we need it. We need critics. But that's not easy. That's not easy to bring back to life new fabrics, to try to find the nice proportion, the position of the first button also is so strategic, and it depends on the style of the jacket you want to design, the position of the lapel. It's so, complex, tailoring. It's the North Face of classic menswear. So, and I think sometimes we deserve critics on sometimes reviews who are not, understanding what we are doing. But, it's at the end of the day, it's a wonderful job.
I'm curious how you help people actually wear their clothes and allow me to explain briefly. Many people, when they start to change their wardrobe, they'll receive the items, so they've left your store, they have the garments they purchased. And then like someone like me, I'm so scared to damage what I just purchased or ruin it that I often won't wear it. And I think this is actually, when I've shared this with others, they're like, yeah, me too. Because you get something special and it costs a lot, or it costs more than, say a t-shirt. And now they have it. They're scared to start wearing it for fear of damaging it, and I think there's a laissez-faire, attitude that I think is important to embody. I'm just curious about that.
Yeah. I totally understand. And that's a pity because you need to wear it, forgetting it and forgetting the price. So for me, you need to make the good purchase, the right one for you. Then, it starts to be meaningful for you. Then what we try to do at Husbands is try to be aggressive with price. I know that people feel we are expensive, but we are not. And, my banker called me, often to say you have to increase your margins.
Yeah.
So and for me, being aggressive, I know that, it could be provocative because it's 1,006 or 700 euros. But this is a strong quality and strong fabric and full canvas and, bigger know-how and sophisticated craftsmanship.
Oh, I agree.
So for me, it's important to say, okay, it's this price, but that's not that much. You can wear it. And then if you break it, you can come back to us. We can repair it, and that's classic and that's tailoring. And then if it's totally broken, we will reorder because these fabrics are still in collection. And this design, we are still making it because we are working with, workshop or factories who play with our own pattern. So everything is under control. And often I say to my customers, play with it, forget it. I can understand that when you are a young student, and you save all money to come and buy a nice suit or nice jacket, you can have this feeling. But the more it is, the more the garment is worn, the more it's becoming beautiful. And I like old men. But sometimes some of my customers who come to the store with used garments, with the sleeves, the button sleeve, which you can see the threads.
Oh, yeah.
It's so it's so beautiful.
I agree.
I really love when some customers and old men, come to the store and bring their clothes, which has been used by years of worn. And it's their style because it's convey their personality. And that's just beautiful. And one of the default of our garments we produce it, that they are new and it's much more beautiful after 2 years because it's conveys, it embeds your personality. You can see how you wear, and I have young customers who play music and who kill their suits on stage. And that's beautiful. So I can understand this. I can understand to be frightened by wearing some really beautiful thing. But what we can do is to make a really nice price, really good value for money, and say to our customers, we can repair it. That's the charm of the tailoring. And, in 5 years, we could still produce it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Yeah. Also, I think there are many brands that are out there that will kind of show people different ways to wear clothing. And I've always been intrigued by how well Husbands shows black. And as a person who I've never bought anything black other than maybe jeans, I'm curious how you've helped or how you approach wearing black clothing.
Yeah. That's a really good question because for years I avoided black and I have this vision that black was for funerals or tuxedo and maybe, kind of genius of architects. But that's all. And also, fashion use black a lot. And I know that Hedi at Dior and then Saint Laurent, made a lot of, black jacket and black suits. And so in my mind, it was really a difficult color, a difficult shade. But the reality is that it's a really nice color. And I don't know when it happened and how it happened, but we start to find about a black suit. And I think it was one of our customers who told us, that's a pity. We cannot find black suit anymore at Saint Laurent, Gucci, and whatever.
Yeah.
And I say, yeah. Maybe we can fulfill this need of the market. We're kind of genius. We find a new way of making money. And then we start to find, the three-ply black fresco, which is a super heavy and dry fabric, which is really matte. And the fall of the fabric is really strong and graphic. And we choose a little bit the proportion and the suit arrived and it was beautiful. And since then, I'm obsessed by black because it's easy. Of course, you need to cut what you had in mind about black, but it's like, the white denim. I remember Peter Saville, explaining that it was super courageous to wear a white denim in Manchester in the early 80s. And, it's like the white denim. When I bought my first white pair of jeans at Helmut Lang, it was in 1999, I said, it's beautiful. It's like we saw in picture, we did this. And I said, the first time I wore it, I thought I was the kind of light in the, kind of ball light in a nightclub. And it was the first day. But then the second day disappeared. This feeling disappeared. And a black suit is follows the same path. The first time you put your black, even in the day, because I like to use it in the day, you feel that, you are observed by people, that you are watched by people.
Yeah.
And then you forget it. it. And for me, that's my most beautiful suit. It's just a single-breasted black suit in black fresco, and I like it. And a lot of customers start to try to do this. Of course, it's not for your outfit. It's for something else, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's so strong. And then you can just choose the trousers, black trousers with a black t-shirt and a pair of Wayfarer and, just US Navy officer shoes, from Alden, and you have something super strong. And you can wear the black jacket with jeans and a whole pair of Jack Purcell or Chuck Taylor. And that's beautiful. So I like this plasticity of a black. You can breathe a lot with black. And that's for me also the secret of tailoring is the plasticity. When you have, when you buy a designer piece, a designer clothes, it is the vision of the designer for it. And it's really difficult to mix it and to play with it in your wardrobe. Classic is so plastic, it's so hybrid. It's so that you can mix it with everything.
Yeah.
You can just wear the high-waisted trousers and put it with a New Balance pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And you have your tailor that style that you are fond about. But I like that, tailoring is on a suit or jacket, but classic is a blank page and you can build them. And I like, we receive a lot of customers from different area of the market, which are designer of, streetwear brand, and they use my tailoring in their own wardrobe. And it's super modern. And that's really surprising. It's like when women come in the store and they are more experimental. So they try a lot and it's always helpful. So for me, the experience of black is that I need to stay really humble because for years I thought I was right to avoid the black. Now I like it, but I can understand that people don't feel comfortable with using this color. But we need to, and you told me and you were really kind that I had great style or something like this. But I learn every day. I learn every day from my team, from old customers, from young customers. And I say, I have sometimes feeling that I stay stupid for maybe months to not watch this and say, no. That's awful. I don't want this. So, I think we need conviction, and I'm really happy that at Husbands we have strong conviction, but we need also to stay open to new things, challenging things. And maybe you are a little bit, disturbed and, by things. And, after months, you start to love it. What I don't like, and I think you are a little bit like this, it's to be bored, and, to don't have a point of view, just make clothing because you need to fulfill the need of, the merch.
Yeah.
Merchandising has something. So you make, the same stupid shirts for years.
Yep.
And you don't see the utility and the legitimacy of this piece.
Yeah.
And at Husbands, maybe we can make mistakes, but we always believe in what we are doing. There is no free clothes produced. Even if now I can look at the green shirts we designed and say, maybe it wasn't a good idea. When we designed it, we were strongly behind it. We strongly believe in it. And it's like, an actor. You are in the theater and there is an actor we play and you don't believe in it. You don't believe. You want to get out of the theater. And sometimes, an actor arrive on the scene and play the same role and the same, piece and suddenly you believe. in it. And I think it's the same for clothing. A lot of people don't believe in the clothes they produce on the show.
Yeah,
so of course they don't make mistake. They are listening to the markets. And that's okay. But I prefer to make mistake, but believing in what we are doing at this point.
Yeah. So imagine a scenario for me where husbands now created a movie theater and a record store. What would be the movies playing at the movie theater, and what would be the records you're selling at the store?
That's really difficult because, I can understand sometimes people are asking us, the 10 favorite movies, the 10 favorite LPs, your 10 favorite novels. And, it doesn't work like that. You are building your own journey in culture, and I hope that our customers build their own journey. And suddenly maybe it's, David Bowie, you discover, Webern would make you discover, William Burroughs, and William Burroughs talk about in his novel about, I don't know, Pasolini, and Pasolini, you saw Terence Stamp, and then Terence Stamp, you saw him in, Soderbergh movies.
Okay.
It was the English.
No, yeah.
And it's your journey. And sometimes you love it, sometimes you hate it, but it creates your own taste and your own personality. And this journey helps you to understand who you are. And it's why I'm a big fan of culture. I'm a big fan of culture because it brings me emotion. But I'm a fan of culture, and I want to put this in the core of husbands because it helps people to understand who they are. And if they know who they are, they will dress correctly. And, you don't have to live the life of another guy, and you don't have to wear the clothes of another guy. You need to wear what is really good for you. And it could be a white t-shirt with a pair of jeans. If it's you, it's you. And that's okay. And you will be the most wonderful guy looking like James Dean or Marlon Brando. and that's brilliant. So yes, difficult to give you some, what's the movie. Of course, I love Blood. But, I will tell you, we organize for the team. We have rent a small cinema in Paris, and we made a projection of movie for the team because I think it's really important. We need to I have a young team, so they don't have the same culture. My culture is old, and it's really interesting to see my old culture with their vision, which is really relevant because coming from today. So sometimes I rush them and say, you need to see this. You don't know this. And, they are young and they have their life. So I say, okay, we are going to rent, because you can do this in Paris, a small room to release Blood of Antonioni. And it was really surprising, the reaction, because I rewatched Blow Up and, I said, it doesn't age, correctly in some part of the movie. And I was a little bit disturbed. I said, oh no, they're watching this, she's, Vanessa Redgrave, smoking some drug is totally ridiculous. She's beautiful, but that's ridiculous. But some scenes are so beautiful, the scene in the park. So the reaction was, oh guys, I'm a little bit sorry because you spent 1 hour and a half watching this whole movie, which didn't age beautifully. And said, no, that was really interesting. We love it. Of course, we see this, but we love this because this is new to us. The time, few words, few dialogues, big moment in the movie, the scenes in the park. So I said, okay, let's try again. And maybe try Bergman and Persona. And I will leave everybody. No, but it's really, I was really pleased to, it's Blow Up, but it's also, Theorema from Pasolini. But it could be Truffaut or Godard, Pierrot le Fou, ou Les Demoiselles de Rochefort, de Jacques Demy. And it could be, what's it could be a series on Netflix, what I love, really, masterpiece could be found now everywhere. You just need to be curious. And sometimes you discover a new name and that's full of emotion. So yeah, of course, I like the Smiths, David Bowie, and I could bring my museum. But to be totally honest, you can discover it because on our website, we launch a new line which called the classic.
Yeah.
And for us, the classic is the basement. And you can bring, when you start with the classic and then you have a collection. So you start with the classic, you learn to speak. And when we, 2 times a year, we bring collection and it's a way to learn to dream. And then you have, maybe the dialectical, movement of these 2 moments. You learn to speak, you learn to dream, and then you express yourself. And that's the MTM, and you can order your collection. It's a little bit, conceptual. So sorry, but
no, this is fantastic.
This classic, and each classic has its own cultural identity. So there are 4 or 3 or 4 pieces. Could be a movie, it could be a song, it could be a painting, and we associated this creation to a blue suit, for example. Tweed jacket. For the blue suit is the base, it's the minimalism. So we try to find, some minimalism music like Terry Riley. Or Dostoevsky which is not minimalism, but the Prince Mishkin is really someone which is really stand for simplicity. So we try to bring this. So all the classic are all the things I like. So if you want to have a list, I think there is 150 creation, hidden in this classic. But we need to be more clear about this. And we will more, in the future, in a close future, we are going to explain this concept of classic and the fact that they have their own, influences. And in 2012, when I launched Husbands, we had a website, and on the website, we had the same concept, which is put culture behind the garment. So I remember a customer, shitting at me because it was, behind this, silk knitted shirt, you put, the Smiths, the Queen is dead. Are you serious? I say, yeah, I'm serious because, but I think, culture is really important for this because it helps you to understand who you are. Of course, you have the emotion. So it's why it's difficult for me to give you to answer. So it's so many things.
No,
just be curious.
It's great. I think that was a brilliant answer. I think, I want to thank you so much for this conversation and most importantly, your time. I mean, you've been so generous with me. And so I very much appreciate it. But before we wrap, is there anything you want to add or mention that I didn't discuss with you? Or, but I think this has been incredible. And so I'm very, very grateful.
You are too kind because, I had the feeling I was a little bit confused, but maybe just people, like you, who are really passionate, help us to be even more passionate. So for me, which link us, is our passion. And we are building, this kind of prescription ecosystem, which has been totally broken by the market. Because, and I can understand, if I was a brand in the 2000, maybe I would have chosen the same path. But I think we are a community and maybe it will be the conclusion. I see Husbands and probably other player in our industry as a community. And I don't think Husbands has a community. I think Husbands is a community, and you are part of a community, like customers, like journalists, like people who help us to understand who we are and to help us to emerge our vision. So yeah, it could be a little bit naive, but I'm okay with this. We are in the same boat of a passion. And, so thank you for the podcast. Thank you for having me. And big apologize for my French accent.
No, thank you.
Your audience. But thank you again, because it helped us a lot.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
It was a pleasure to meet you, Nicolas. So thank you. You've been listening to Blamo. Our show is produced by Blamo Media. We're edited by Amar Lowell, and our theme music, as always, by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. If you like what you heard, you know the drill. Share the pod with a friend. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars or thumbs up on whatever other thing you're listening to us on, whether it's Dingledorp or Bing Bong, whatever it's called. But you can also follow us on Instagram for all the hot content. If you want to talk to us and give us your hot take, we'd love to hear from you. You can send us an email at info@blamopod.com. Last but not least, super, ultra important, if I had a air horn, I would press it right now. You got to come and join us over on Patreon, because the fun never stops over there. Look, the live show, the free show, whatever you want to call this, we take breaks here and there, but Patreon, it never stops. And we also got exclusive shows like Die Workwear, hosted by Derek Guy and Peter Zotolo, and the Triple J Show, hosted by yours truly with John Moy and Gene DeLeon. There's just a ton of stuff over there. So check it out at patreon.com/Blamo. If not, no worries. We got hundreds and hundreds of free episodes in the feed, and more to come. So we will see you all soon.